What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Crimson Desert. They've been gone for a while, but here they are at Gamescom, and just in the last couple days, they've released, I think, 4 different gameplay videos on bosses. I think actually 3 just in the last 24 hours, and they did one a few days ago. And the game is looking really, really good, so I kind of want to talk about my hype and my excitement of it and go over these bosses. So we have the Whitehorn boss battle gameplay. We have the Queen Stoneback crab gameplay, the Reed Devil boss, and the Stag Lord boss battle. So overwhelmingly, it looks really good. I want to throw out really the only negative, and it's actually more of just a product of the game still in the works, and so let's talk about that first, and we'll go into all the positives, is it can look a little choppy at times, right? But again, the hope is this game's coming out next year, and this game has been in the works for a long time. You don't expect perfection, and for something like this kind of raw gameplay, I actually really appreciate. This is my favorite kind of showing off a game, by the way. Whenever I talk about an upcoming game and I say, just show us something, right? Just have somebody playing the game and have 5-10 minutes of uncut gameplay. That's exactly what they did. Your character gets hit. They take a good amount of damage. They're showing obviously all these different bosses in these different videos, but these videos are ranging from 4 minutes to 10 minutes long, and it's just raw gameplay. And so just to throw that in terms of the positives, I really appreciate and like the way of them just throwing it out there and saying, hey, here's where we're kind of at, with this game. Again, there's gonna be some technical mishaps here and there, but hopefully the game comes out, within the next year or so, and you can get that ironed out, before then. And then you have all the positives. This game looks like a lot of fun. And it's actually kind of ironic that we're seeing the gameplay for this game right around the time that Black Myth comes out, because this game reminds me, and I mean, we're not playing it physically, in our hands, but it reminds me a little bit of a Black Myth. It reminds me of a Stellar Blade, where it's very fast, right, and it's kind of aggressive, but it seems, look, there seems to be a lot of abilities going on there, right, and you can use arrows, bow and arrow type things, and slamming with your shield, and kind of grappling like WWE moves, right, slashing with the sword, dodging, all that stuff, but in a different way, because again, Black Myth is out right now, and while they do kind of remind me of each other, I think this one is going to be a little bit more hack and slash and maybe not as difficult as what we would imagine with a Stellar Blade or a FromSoft type thing, and I can get down with that. I think, obviously, they're showing the gameplay, so you want to get excited for the gameplay. The gameplay looks like the king for this game, right? And for me, what stood out is kind of the variety, and I think that's kind of the best you can say for the way that they're chopping this up right now, right? Where it's they're showing 4 different things. That turtle one seemingly is just a side quest, right? It doesn't take too long. It's got 3 weak points. Once you do that, you hit the top of it, and then it's gone, right? And so that one's a little bit more of a short but sweet thing. But even that kind of shows the, again, variety in the enemy design, the mission design. That is a much bigger enemy and a much bigger boss, if you want to call it a boss, I guess, right? Versus the other 3. And you can, the camera pulls out. I saw a lot of people in the comments actually, thanking God that they actually did something like that. But again, I think that just shows the variety that this game is going to have. You might face gigantic bosses where you have to climb up and attack them. And actually, you get quite a bit from that one too, right? You have kind of a gliding, flying type thing that's going on. You see when it shoots you straight up into the sky, how high you can go. But then the other bosses, are on your feet. One is a little bit more of a monster Yeti type thing, right? So that one's a bit more aggressive, a bit more faster, in your face, and large, whereas the other 2 are more, well, actually, I actually really like, because you have the turtle, which is just massive, right? You have the Yeti, which is also a big one, but it's more of an actual boss. You have that one in the grass, which, by the way, anybody notice that the grass kind of gets cut, right, as the swords are swinging? I like that quite a bit. But that one is more based off, I think, more timing, right? And kind of tricks with you, right? Because you're having to dodge and you're having to kind of plan out when that enemy will jump out from the shadows, basically. And then you have the Stag Lord one, which is more of he's got a shield and a sword. You have a shield and a sword, and you kind of go at it. It seems kind of 3 waves is the way that they're doing it. I don't know if I would love that if there's 50 bosses and all of the bosses are 3 waves to them, but it doesn't happen with the turtle, I guess. The turtle is more 2 of them, right? But all the other bosses are 3 each. So it's just looking fun. Whenever we've seen this game, one of the things that I've said, when they've done it in these live shows, right, is it almost looks too good to be true, because it's trying to be, I think, at least what it's showing, the best of everything. I think this kind of narrows down, right? Like puts it in a little bit of a tunnel, and it says, okay, the acting seemingly is good, right? Because you get to hear some of the voice acting, some of the English dub. Sounds good. Doesn't sound phoned in. And this is a Korean developer, another one of those Korean developers that they're just on a roll nowadays, right? So, they have that nailed down. The combat seems to be an absolute blast and does seem deep while also kind of feeling like satisfying or rewarding. Now, again, some of these words, I guess I'm throwing out there, we won't know fully until we play it. But again, like, I don't know. We've played the Stellar Blades, and I'm playing like the Black Myths of the world right now. And those games, the bread and butter kind of is the rewarding and feel-good nature of the gameplay. So if they get that part right, I mean, it can be like this sprawling, huge story. It could be not so great of a story, whatever. I think the gameplay, the enemy design, the enemy variety, the boss variety, if you have those things, I actually think the game's going to be just fine, even just with that. If they had nothing else and all they had was like 30 bosses or 20 bosses or whatever that are this diverse, I think the game would be pretty solid no matter what. So super happy we saw it, super happy we've seen it in the way that they did it. Again, this is kind of my favorite way of showing off anything. And now we patiently wait. There were leaks, I covered it a few weeks ago, where Game Awards, the leak was at the Game Awards they would give a date and that it would come out next year. So we'll see. I hope that it comes out next year, and we'll just go from there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.